Welcome to the National PTA Bylaws Committee video series on the 2021 National PTA Bylaw Amendments that will be presented during the 2021 Annual Meeting and Convention of National PTA. The purpose of these videos is to provide you, our voting delegates, with as much information regarding the proposed amendments that we can offer. If at any point you have questions, feel free to reach out to the National PTA Bylaws Committee at bylaws@pta.org, as well as review the other materials that are posted on the National PTA website, including the videos of the other 8 amendments, as well as the process for the 2021 annual meeting of National PTA and the adoption and consideration of the bylaw amendments. Video in our series is in regards to the Board of Directors Reduction and Restructure Composition Bylaws Amendments. Introduce the 2020-2021 National PTA Bylaws Committee. Serving this year on the National PTA Bylaws Committee is Lisa Holbrook from Texas, Latha Kirschner from Florida. I'm Justin Raber, Chair from West Virginia, Marnie Usher from Connecticut, and Allison Turner from Nevada. This year, during the virtual annual meeting of National PTA, we will be considering 9 total bylaw amendments, which include an amendment regarding reduction and composition of the National PTA Board of Directors, a restructure of the National PTA committees, a name change to the title member representative, the membership year for the national supporting member, the eligibility of service for current Nominating and Leadership Recruitment Committee members, an amendment regarding membership termination, an amendment regarding state president service on the National PTA Board of Directors, an amendment regarding the virtual annual meeting and convention of National PTA, and finally, an amendment regarding the term length for National PTA governance, moving from a 2-year to a 3-year term. At this time, I will be presenting this amendment in regards to the composition and reduction of the National PTA Board of Directors. So let's go ahead and get started. This proposed amendment is to Article 9, Board of Directors, Section 1, Composition. It is to amend Article 9, Section 1 by striking the words 16 member representatives, 6 at-large members, and 2 youth members, and inserting the following to state 12 member representatives, no more than 3 at-large members, and 2 youth members. Now for this amendment is to reduce the size of the National PTA Board of Directors so that it may become more strategic and to implement the recommendations of the governance capacity study that was completed in 2019 and 2020, which is based upon best practices within the nonprofit sector. Additionally, all members of the National PTA Board of Directors are at-large members that are either elected or appointed from the membership. Member representatives do not represent a specific group of members, rather all PTA members. Included in this amendment is a proviso. This amendment shall be effective for the 2020 election cycle. Therefore, upon passage, this would not be implemented until 2022. 2 conforming amendments for this amendment. The purpose of the conforming amendments is to make the required changes based upon the first amendment, which has implications in further amendments of the National PTA bylaws. And the purpose of this is to ensure that it is stated that the correct number of board members will serve on the Board of Directors. So there are 2 additional amendments that will be adopted if this amendment is adopted. One is to subsection D, member representative of Article 7, elections and appointments, Section 2, officers and board members, to strike 8 and replace with 6, as well as subsection E regarding appointed directors, and include a new section to state that 3 appointed at-large members will be elected in the first year of the officer term. In addition to the rationale that has been provided, we would like to help you understand the purpose and rationale behind this amendment to reduce the size of the National PTA Board of Directors. During 2019 and 2020, the National PTA Board of Directors commissioned several studies intended to address key strategic issues and opportunities confronting our association. The findings of these studies guided the National PTA Board of Directors in the development of a new 5-year strategic plan and helped inform the National PTA Bylaws Committee on our recommendations for bylaw amendments that are proposed this year. For one of the studies, National PTA contracted with an outside firm to study the efficacy of National PTA's current governance processes and structures and how these align to our mission and vision of our association. Included in this report is the recommendation to reduce the size of the board. Board Source, who we rely on as fantastic information, is a nonprofit board leadership and educational corporation. And through their survey conducted in 2000, Board Source found that the average size of nonprofit boards, not including churches, was 17 directors. Additionally, this decreased in 2007 to 16. The median number of members of a board of directors for all size organizations is about 15 members. Smaller boards have an ability to be more responsive. Board discussions are generally shorter and more focused than those of larger boards, which typically leads to faster and better decision-making processes. Since often smaller boards spend more time together, they form close bonds and are typically willing to give everyone a fair say and to listen to all opinions. As we move forward, one of the major considerations that we need to look at is, what is the purpose of the National PTA Board of Directors? Our board is a governance board versus a working board. Our board sets the strategic vision and direction of our association and completes the legal duties of a board of directors. A working board, on the other hand, are those that are actually down in and working and making the vision a reality. For National PTA, we rely heavily on our governance committees to do the work of the National PTA Board of Directors. Look at our current model of our Board of Directors. We have 5 officers, 16 elected directors, 6 appointed directors, and 2 youth members, for a total of 29 members of the National PTA Board of Directors. Our look at the current composition of the National PTA Board of Directors. It's important to note that we elect directors every year for a current 2-year term, as well as we appoint 3 members of the Board of Directors each year for a 2-year term. So this picture depicts our 5 officers, 8 elected members of the board, 3 appointed members of the board, and 2 youth members who are all elected and appointed at the beginning to take office at the beginning of a president's term. In the off year of the presidential or president-elect and officer election, we elect 8 members of the board and appoint 3 members of the board of directors. The proposed model that is before you through this bylaw amendment is to reduce the size of the board by a total of 7 positions from 29 to 22 members. The officers will remain the same at a total of 5. The elected directors will be reduced by 4 to 12 elected directors. The appointed directors will be reduced by 3 to 3 appointed directors per term, and the 2 youth members will remain. At this point, it's important for us to look at what is the implication in our elections if this amendment is to pass. For the 2021 elections, there is no change in the composition of the Board of Directors. So we will be electing 4 officers that will take office at the close of our annual meeting in 2021, with the president-elect moving to the position of president. 8 member representatives will be elected. Our new president inherits the 3 appointed at-large members, which were appointed in 2020, as well as will appoint 3 new at-large members to serve a 2-year term, as well as appointing 2 youth members. So there is no change in 2021 to the composition. As we see here, it is a depiction of the current state of the National PTA Board of Directors, with no change. As included with the proviso of this amendment will not be effective and be implemented until the 2022 election cycle. So a year from now, at the 2022 annual meeting of National PTA, no new officers will be elected. An election will be held for 8 directors as the 2020 directors roll off. Additionally, 3 appointed at-large directors that were appointed in 2020 will roll off, and no additional at-large directors will be appointed. At this point, there will be a total reduction of 5 directors in 2022. The board composition as of August of 2022 with the adoption of this amendment will include our 5 officers, 8 elected board members elected in 2021, as well as the 6 new elected board members elected in 2022, as well as our appointed members and youth members, all of which were appointed in 2021. Beginning with the 2023 election, the full implementation will occur of this amendment. So in 2023, we have already elected 6 members of the Board of Directors that will be serving and continuing on for a year under our current structure. So in 2023, we will have 4 new officers that were elected. The 8 directors elected in 2021 will roll off. Additionally, we will elect 6 new directors at the 2023 convention. The 3 new directors appointed by the president will come on, along with 2 youth members that will be appointed by the president. At this point in time, the total reduction of the board of directors is 7 as of 2023. It's also important to make note that this amendment is not contingent on the 3-year term amendment that is also being considered at this year's annual convention, as well as that 3-year term is not contingent upon the reduction of the board. Delegates will be able to vote independently on each one, as each amendment is set up to not be dependent on the other. We see the total board composition as of August of 2023. Our 5 officers, our 12 elected members to the board of directors, our 3 appointees, and our 2 youth members. That wraps up our current amendment regarding the reduction in composition of the National PTA Board of Directors. At this time, on behalf of the Bylaws Committee, I would like to point you to the Bylaws Amendment process that we will be using for this year's convention. Please visit pta.org, the same website that you found this video on, to receive more information in regards to the amendment process. We have posted a video in regards to the amendment process. Additionally, you will find background information from the Bylaws Committee regarding the amendments that are before you. Thank you for viewing this video. If you have any questions, please email bylaws@pta.org. Thank you.